Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something absolutely phenomenal, and it might be, I would actually say very, very close, if not, I'm positive on this fact. It's my favorite model from T-Rex Productions. We have their brand new Stegosaurus, and I have reviewed, I think this would be the third model from T-Rex Productions, if I can remember correctly. I have in the past acquired and reviewed their Concavenator and Allosaurus, so this is the very first time we have the pleasure of checking out a herbivore. However, I will say it's been quite a while since we actually had a new model from them. They were pretty silent when it comes to dinosaur models for a little while, and thankfully we now have this, again, brand new Stegosaurus, and I absolutely adore everything about this. The sculpt is phenomenal. It's honestly like my favorite style of Stegosaurus. It just is something that I've always been so in love with, is this sort of an appearance to Stegosaurus. You often see different recreations of Stegosaurus that kind of make it look different depending on the recreation, but this is definitely one of my favorite sort of appearances of a Stegosaurus. On top of that, this is a model kit, so when you acquire it, it would come unpainted. I believe you could hire T-Rex Productions to paint it for you, though. I do believe that is an option, and I went ahead and painted mine. I normally, lately, I've been kind of painting them after I begin the review. I kind of review them unpainted and then, paint them up afterwards. This time, I went a different route and painted it up prior, because I just had some free time and I didn't have the first part of the review filmed and ready to go, so I just went ahead and started, working on it, building, painting, and, got it finished here for us to take a look at. So this time we're just going to review it fully painted the entire way through. But honestly, again, the Stegosaurus here is incredible. You can see it just looks really nice. We have a very dynamic pose with the tail up in the air. Obviously, it's defending itself. We can very, very clearly see that. And one of my favorite things about Stegosaurus in the world is the fact that we can get ourselves a nice green Stegosaurus with red plates. I don't know what it is about that, but I've always enjoyed that appearance to Stegosaurus, so that's the paint scheme that I chose to go with on this version, and I'm very happy actually with the way the paint job turned out. Definitely my ideal Stegosaurus overall. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Stegosaurus, you can see straight away that we have a pretty sharp turn to the neck, obviously, because again, the Stegosaurus is currently in the process of defending itself. That, unfortunately, will make it a little hard to take a nice close look at the right side of the head, but I guess we can actually get a decent view of it. It's not too bad with the turn in the body. It usually gets in the way of the camera a little bit, but you can see that the head sculpt looks really, really nice. The beak looks excellent when it comes to the fine detail. There's some nice cracks and crevices. You can see the nostrils there in the face. Some beautiful scale detail throughout, and I like that the eye has some kind of creasing around it. It almost looks like the dinosaur's flinching a little bit, and that's something that would probably be happening, as the Stegosaurus were defending itself. So I'm not surprised to see that, but I like that T-Rex Productions has sculpted in that little detail. As you look down the course of the neck, you again have some more really nice looking skin texture, nice scale detail, nice turn and curvatures there in the neck. You can see some skin hanging here in the throat region of the Stegosaurus, some wrinkles and stuff as you move down, showing off the throat really nicely as well. And then if we take a look over here at the opposing side of the head sculpt, yet again, it looks just as gorgeous as what we had seen on the initial side. You can even see the ears are sculpted there and everything. So really, really nice looking sculpt work of the head of our Stegosaurus. As you move down the course of the neck, you can see again some more really nice looking texturing to the skin. You've got all of these smaller plates up here running along the back of the neck. As you lead down here into the body, you've got some more skin wrinkles here. As we lead down into the front leg, you have a very big bulky body to your Stegosaurus, so that is a plus because you have I would say a pretty intimidating looking Stegosaurus. As you lead down into the front leg, you can see this leg is extended out a little bit, more so than this side, again, because we have our Stegosaurus turned very sharply to its right as it's defending itself, so this leg is kind of extended out, giving it itself a nice ability to stand its ground and, of course, deliver that tail swing that we see the Stegosaurus in the process of doing. As you lead down, you again have some more exceptionally vibrant skin texture, exceptionally vibrant scale detail the entire way down. You've got the elbow sculpted out back there, nice looking toes down here in the foot of this Stegosaurus, and you also have some very nicely sculpted nails. As you lead back up, you can also take notice to the fact that the plates themselves look great when it comes to the fine detail. There's like all sorts of cracks and crevices throughout the course of the plates of the Stegosaurus, which also looks really nice. And again, the actual skin texture is extremely vibrant on this. Definitely a really nice quality resin used by T-Rex Productions. You can also see some nice girth in the stomach of the Stegosaurus. Definitely a very well-fed animal, which leads me to believe that it's probably going to be able to defend itself very nicely. As you lead down, you've got some skin wrinkles down here. You can also see as we move down, we change from this kind of smaller scaling to a much larger scaling here for the underside of the Stegosaurus. You can see that we have a very different style of skin texture here for the underside of the animal. As you move back up here, you again have the hip bone. You move down here, you've got some nice muscle definition. I like that it's not overly sculpted out or anything. It's not shrink wrapped by any means. As you move down, you have the kneecap right there. You've also got, again, a really nice looking foot sculpt. A few larger scales as you lead down there into the foot sculpt of the Stegosaurus. And you can even see, again, some nice detail in the nails themselves. There's some nice cracks and crevices down there, which look really good. And as you look up here at the top of the dinosaur, you can again see that the plates all look really nice. You have some fantastic detailing throughout. As you move along the upper side of the Stegosaurus, you can really see again that nice curve to the body. And then you lead down here, you can see again that we have these larger plates. You have of course, small plates that increase in size, but as you lead out here into the tail, they still remain pretty large until we reach down here toward the tip of the tail. You can see that they then decrease in size quite a bit moving out. You have a really nice curve to the tail, and one thing I really love about the Stegosaurus is the way that he has sculpted out the thagomizers out here, because you could see that there's actually like movement within the thagomizers, and you could just see so much life to the model. Like, it doesn't look like a generically sculpted model to me. It looks like a genuine living animal just kind of frozen in time. And that's how good the sculpt here is from T-Rex Productions. And you can see that again on the thagomizers themselves. The actual sculpt and detail is phenomenal. They look so realistic. They may be the nicest thagomizers that I've ever seen on a Stegosaurus model as far as the sculpt goes. And of course that is exactly the same case as you move through and you look at every side. Those thagomizers are gorgeous. And again, you see pretty much the same thing on this side compared to what we had just seen on the opposite side, of course, in a different position because the Stegosaurus is now turned in this direction. So the entire body is kind of curved in this direction. You can sort of make out the shoulder blade a little bit right there. You've got some skin wrinkles here as you move down from the neck into the front leg, and then moving down, you again see that we have the elbow sculpted out. The structure of the leg looks really nice. Again, it doesn't look shrink wrapped or anything like that, which is a huge plus. And then you lead down into that foot sculpt. The foot sculpt yet again looks really nice, just like we had seen on the first side. We again have the hip bone over here, the nice muscle definition and everything of the rear leg. You've got the kneecap yet again right there in the front of the leg. Really nice looking foot sculpt yet again over here with those really nicely sculpted nails. I'm very impressed. If we get nice and close, there you go. You can see how nice the actual fine detail, well, it could if my camera would stay focused on it, how nice the fine detail of the nails looks. It's really nicely done. And then, of course, you have the nice curve to the tail, just like we had seen before when we had taken a look at it. Everything just looks honestly phenomenal on this Stegosaurus. And you actually have a base to go with your Stegosaurus, which you can see we have a really nice kind of an earthy area. There's a few rocks and stuff throughout. Pretty similar in style to the base that we had seen with the Allosaurus that T-Rex Productions had released. And that's definitely a good thing because it'll create a really cool diorama for the two to, of course, be facing off. Because who would you like to have facing off against the Stegosaurus? That's right, you want yourself an Allosaurus, or at least normally anyway. And again, the base is really nicely sculpted. I painted it to try to give it somewhat of a realistic look. I hope it turned out pretty nicely. But definitely a really nice base. Has a nice smooth underside to it as well, which is really nice, very high quality. So let's go ahead, throw this on the base. We'll get a size, and then we're going to check it out next to the Allosaurus. As far as a size goes for a length, the furthest point would probably be this Thagomizer. And honestly, I'm not really sure how to do this because, okay, if we just go from the Thagomizer to the snout, you're looking at about 6.5 inches or around 16.5, maybe closing in on 17 centimeters. But if we extend it and just kind of try to get an idea to the foot down there, I would say you're right around like 9 3/4 inches, or around 24.5, maybe 25 centimeters. But that is a very rough measurement because we don't have the best angle to kind of get that measurement. And then for a height to the top of the Thagomisers, about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. That one's a bit easier to get when it comes to the size. But for a size comparison, straight away we have our usual review comparison suspects, as we have Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our gorgeous T-Rex Productions Stegosaurus. But the comparison that of course I want to see, and I haven't done it yet, and I'm very excited to do so, is with the T-Rex Productions Allosaurus. So there they are now facing off with each other, and man, does that look awesome. It really looks like the Allosaurus was just coming in potentially for a bite or something, and noticed that the Thagomisers were headed its way, and now it almost looks like it's kind of trying to backpedal, which is really, really cool. Definitely a neat looking diorama if you happen to have the Allosaurus. I'm not positive if the Allosaurus is still available. I don't know for sure if you can still purchase it, but if you can, I really recommend picking up the pair and again, creating one of the nicest looking dioramas that I've ever seen. In T-Rex Productions, they really do a fantastic job on the sculpts of their dinosaurs. So if you can get both, again, you're getting two fantastic models. I am a huge fan of that Allosaurus, but having the Allosaurus now here next to the Stegosaurus is even cooler. Definitely a display piece worthy of any collection. And then for another comparison, and another beautiful looking Stegosaurus, we have the Nanmu version of the Stegosaurus here next to the T-Rex Productions version. You can see they are kind of similar in size. I think the Nanmu one would probably fare a little bit nicer, like if it were up on the base like that one is, but the T-Rex Productions version is definitely a little bit larger. For another Stegosaurus comparison, we have the incredibly beautiful Kenner version of the Stegosaurus here, the Jurassic Park Stegosaurus, next to our T-Rex Productions version. I actually went to go get the Rebor version of the Stegosaurus and bring it in here, and I think I must still have it in the box. Like, when I brought my entire collection over here and took it out of storage, well, not my entire collection, but a large majority of it, and I brought it all here and I set it all up just to make that collection video, and also because I love being surrounded by my awesome collection. But I assumed I had got at least all of the major companies' dinosaurs and everything and brought them in, but looking around, I just investigated everywhere, and I must never have brought those Stegosaurus over here, so they must have been left out of my collection video and everything, because I didn't realize that they were not here. So they must be in storage in their original boxes or something, because I can't locate where I put them. But for another comparison, and a very humorous one, we have the Takara Tomy Stegosaurus here next to our T-Rex Productions version, which you can obviously see there's no size comparison at all with these two. We've also got a Mattel Stegosaurus here next to the T-Rex Productions Stegosaurus, and you can see that the Mattel version's a bit larger, but the T-Rex Productions version definitely could hold its own. Even next to the Mattel version, it still has a pretty darn good size to it. Then for a comparison to another Stegosaurus that is very near and dear to my heart, we have the Definitely Dinosaurs version of the Stegosaurus here. And this is a really cool, very old school interpretation of Stegosaurus, which I love, and only recently was actually able to get back into my collection, because the one that I had when I was a child lost all of the plates because they pop out super easily. So I'm really happy to actually have this now complete with the plates, and I definitely thought it was a good one to bring in for a comparison, just because, again, it's so new to my collection to have back in my collection. I was really psyched to have it, and it's, of course, a Stegosaurus, so it's a good comparison piece. We've also got ourselves the Resaurus Stegosaurus, if you happen to have that model. A really cool, very articulated Stegosaurus, something we don't get very often. So one that, again, I thought would be pretty fun to bring in for a comparison. In a very similar looking color scheme, which somehow I never realized when actually painting this T-Rex Productions version up, we have the Bullyland Stegosaurus, which I am a massive fan of, next to the T-Rex Productions version, and you can see that the color schemes are extremely similar between these two. Maybe somewhere deep down in my subconscious, I was just like, boy, I love the coloration of the Bullyland Stegosaurus, let's give it to this version. Although it's not exactly the same, it's pretty similar overall. Although, again, the size is definitely not similar. There is also the Mojo Fun version of the Stegosaurus here for yet another comparison next to this beautiful T-Rex Productions version. And for one final comparison, hopefully you will have had at least one of these Stegosaurus, but we have the older Safari LTD release. They did release a newer one a few years back that was also quite beautiful, but that one seems to be buried a little further into my shelf, so I figured this one here would be a good one to bring in for a comparison because it was a pretty popular Stegosaurus that many people did in fact include in their collections. So this brand new T-Rex production Stegosaurus, honestly, I would say is my favorite Stegosaurus. Not only it's not just my favorite T-Rex Productions model, it's my favorite Stegosaurus in my collection. There is just something about this model that I absolutely love, and I didn't even realize how much I was going to love it from the initial images. Like, I was definitely a fan of the images that were posted of this model, and I knew I wanted to include it in my collection, but I didn't realize just how much of a fan I was going to be of this Stegosaurus until I actually had put it together and started to apply some paint to it, and I just fell in love with it so quickly. The sculpt is incredibly cool. It's extremely highly detailed, really nice, really crisp detail throughout, and we have an awesome pose. I love the very cool, very defensive stature of the model. I just love the fact that the thagomizers are extended. You can see it's clearly defending itself. Every view of this Stegosaurus just shows that off, and you can see again the head turned in the same direction. It just looks like it's ready to strike down, apparently, the T-Rex Productions Allosaurus and move on with its day. The fact that it's a resin model, of course, means you can paint it yourself, or again, I believe T-Rex Productions could potentially build and paint it for you, but of course that would cost a little extra. But I actually had a great time painting it, again, giving it this really nice greenish color scheme, which is my favorite coloration for Stegosaurus. The green with the red plates, just absolutely love it. Hopefully it turned out pretty nice. You'll have to let me know in the comments section what you guys think of the paint job, but as a whole, I was definitely happy with it. So, again, undoubtedly an incredible release from T-Rex Productions and a massive recommendation from me. If there is one Stegosaurus you buy this year, definitely get this one from T-Rex Productions. So make sure you do that. I will include a link in the description to where you can contact them, as well as their email address, so you can contact them that way if you choose to. One way or another, absolutely worth picking up. Make sure you grab this gorgeous Stegosaurus and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.